Hey, it's season 3 of the Nova Hoopcast. We are on video now. Not only do you have to listen to us, you got to look at us as well. But we're excited about this new format. I'm here with Kevin. We're here at Riverside High School, home of the Rams. We got Kevin Buster Payton behind the camera. He's our executive producer and doing all the tech work for us. So we're happy to have him on as well. You may remember him from the famous Payton family from Chantilly High School back in the day. So we're going to travel from school to school, hopefully, to do the Hoopcast. So we're here at Riverside today, and we're looking forward to being at another school next week. If you'd like to have us out, let us know. We'd certainly love to come to your school and have some different coaches on each week. So let's talk about players a little bit more. We've talked about teams to watch and maybe teams on the rise. Let's talk about some of these players that are maybe under the radar a little bit, some of the underclassmen, some of the young guys that maybe you haven't heard about yet, but a month from now or 6 weeks from now, you'll know who they are. Kevin, who are some of those guys?
Underclassmen, we'll start with Lorenzo Nichols from Stonewall Jackson. He's going to be a freshman this year, very talented point guard. He's got some good players that he'll be throwing the ball to.
Right.
And we'll talk about those guys in a minute, but look for in Prince William, Lorenzo Nichols, Stonewall Jackson. Fairfax County, Andre Spate, who's a sophomore for South County, very talented. I had a chance to see him play this summer in AAU basketball. Can do a lot of things, very athletic. Braylon Wheeler, who's going to be a freshman at Hayfield, does a lot of good things. He's a fearless point guard. He'll be able to get that ball to Mike Joyner, who we'll talk about, for Hayfield and some of their big guys. But look for Braylon Wheeler at Hayfield. And last but not least, here in Loudoun County, you have a trio of sophomores from Rockridge High School. Evan Fitch, the younger brother of Alex Fitch, who we spoke of. Greg Spurlock and Sam Larson all played varsity last year as freshmen. All are going to get a lot of time this year for Rockridge and are going to be really tough. So those are some underclassmen to look for, freshmen and sophomore that are out there at the varsity level and going to do big things.
So I called an audible on you there. I started with the young guys. Let's move to the older guys now. The people that, maybe those who watch our Hoopcast and listen to it know about. So let's talk about some of the guys we're really looking forward to play this year.
We'll start first in Loudoun County. Of course, Ian Anderson, somebody who's got to talk about, 6'5" swingman from Potomac Falls. Second team All-State last year as a junior. Is back this year. So athletic. I saw him yesterday in the scrimmage dive for loose balls and shoot from the outside and finish going to the rim. Can do a lot of good things, and whoever gets him in college is going to be real happy. Alex Fitch, I mentioned his younger brother. He's a senior at Rockridge, can really put up points, had some big games last year for the Phoenix. He's going to have a good year. And then probably, arguably the best player in Loudoun County is Evan Buckley. Evan Buckley, senior guard, started since he was a freshman. We mentioned the numerous D1 offers he does have. Probably the highest IQ of any player in Northern Virginia, and poised to have a great season for the Bulldogs.
How about some of the guys in Fairfax? We've seen Daryl Mackey Jr. Feels like he's played for 8 years. He's, finally a senior. Really a tremendous player, and he's the guy that makes them go. He's been a marked man, I think, since the day he, put on a West Potomac uniform. Looking forward to watching him play. Daniel Deaver from Marshall. Again, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Who are some of those other guys in Fairfax?
You mentioned two of the best. To start off, Daryl Mackey from West Potomac, one of the best athletes in Northern Virginia. I saw him in Fall League with an awesome dunk and a game there. Going to have a great year for West Potomac, and he's got pieces around him with Jonas. They've also got a really good big man, 6'5", and I can't remember his last name. His first name is Shannon. But look out for him. So they have a good front court, good back court. They're going to have a good year. Deaver, you mentioned, kind of like the Kevin Love of Northern Virginia, can rebound, can pass, has great footwork. Probably one of the best big men in the state. Bryce Douglas, somebody you know well, and you probably could speak to Bryce. Great scorer coming back. Jake Latta from South County. Noah Bullock, their point guard. Very good tandem for South County. One of the reasons they're one of the favorites again in 6A. And then Mike Joyner from Hayfield. Great athlete. Going to have a great senior year for the Hawks.
Yeah, you mentioned the guys at South County. As a coach, gosh, when you've got a good guard and a good big man, that's a pretty good foundation to build on. You got a little inside-outside action. You can control the basketball. they're going to have another good season. You mentioned Bryce Douglas. He's a natural scorer, came over from Bishop Ireton and helped lead Centerville to a district title, only the second in the school's history 2 years ago. So he's poised, for a really good senior season. So a good group. You mentioned some of the guys from Fairfax earlier. Fairfax had a scrimmage yesterday. Daniel Mbonge, really a good player, a bunch of good juniors there. So looking forward to seeing how those guys develop. Let's move into Prince William County.
Prince William, Isaiah Folks is going to be, I think, one of, if not the most talented player in Prince William. He plays at Stonewall Jackson, great athlete, can do it all, poised to have a great year for them. They also have Quentin Moore, who's a big guy who can shoot the ball. He's about 6'7". So that along with Lorenzo Nichols, who we mentioned as being a really good point guard as a freshman, means that Stonewall Jackson's got the talent.
Right.
Also, Devon Parrish from Patriot kind of reloading, as we talked about. He's going to have a good year. Chase Pagone, you might remember his older brother,
right?
Who I don't know if he's still at Stanford, but
went to Stanford, yeah.
Left Battlefield, and his younger brother can play too. Saw him play this summer. He's going to have a good year for Battlefield. So we know that there's a lot of talent in Prince William. There's players we've missed, but those four stand out in my mind.
Yeah, Battlefield's another team that reloads. They've certainly arrived as a basketball program, I believe. So a lot of great players to watch. We've talked about some of the young guys that are on the rise. And again, one of the enjoyable things for me as the season unfolds is seeing the new guys that we haven't heard about before, because they're out there, and we're looking forward to seeing them play and talking about them on the Nova Hoopcast. Any closing thoughts, Kevin, before we wrap it up?
Well, I'm thinking about all this. There's a lot of talented players out there, but the teams that win are the teams that put it all together. And it's not always about talented players. It's the people around them as well. And basketball is such a team game, and they've got to share the ball and know roles. That's a lot of what's being talked about right now, I think, in high school basketball and college and in the pros, about culture. What is the culture of your program? And I think the teams with the best culture are winning, like your Potomacs, like your South Counties. And some of that culture is winning, but it's also about knowing your role.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of this as well, because we've talked about the top players, but there's a lot of players out there that we don't mention that make things happen. You need the rebounder, you need the defender, you need the guy coming off the bench. So it'll be interesting. We're talking about who's supposed to be good early, but you never know at the end.
Right.
You never know who's going to be on top.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as we move through the season, we're looking forward to having some coaches on like we did in the past. And maybe that would be a good topic to delve into, is what does culture mean? Because we hear it a lot in sports. And what does it mean to each individual coach, and how do you build it? Again, it's often talked about, but it would be fun to kind of dig into that a little bit more. And the other thing that I'm interested in is we talk about some of these young guys, and you and I talk a lot about transfers and freshmen and sophomores. And back when we played, kids didn't transfer, and you didn't see freshmen. Sometimes you would see sophomores, but you didn't see freshmen play that much of a role on a varsity program. But times have changed, and so that's another interesting thing, is seeing how the young guys move up quicker, and are maybe as a result of playing AAU and kind of the accelerated development, that they're sometimes ready to step in and play a bigger role than maybe they did back in the day.
My last comment is, can you win a championship without transfers? It's a loaded question. We could do a whole show on it, but I think it's very difficult to win with the kids that are in your community, that grow up there. It happens. But I think the majority right now of teams that win have kids who started somewhere else. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's part of the culture.
Yeah,
so
and
that might be something to delve into down the road.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think I said to you a year or two ago, you look at any championship high school team across the board, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, kind of the common denominator is somebody's come in. And so
there's lists now. There's lists. I know the Elite puts out a list of who's transferring where for high school kids, which blows my mind. But it is part of the game, and we are evolving with that piece of it. But excited, and the last point I'll make before we go is this: you and I have a love of high school basketball, and that's why we're here. We get zero money out of it. We're just here to promote what we think is a great area of basketball, and that's Northern Virginia. So we're excited about being back for another season.
Yeah, follow us. We'll be on YouTube. We'll put clips of this out on social media, and we're ready to tip it off.
Thanks, Buster.